You're listening to a glimpse inside on the Super Power Up Network, the show that affirms for people there is more to life, and it is possible to be happy, inspired, successful, joyous, and free.
Welcome to A Glimpse Inside. I'm Wendy Perrotti, and I'm excited to be here with you on the Super Power Up Network. This show is about affirming for people that there is more to life, and it is possible for every single one of us to be inspired, successful, joyous, and free. Today is a special introductory episode of the show, and I am delighted to be here with Tonya Dawn Recla, the Executive Director of the Super Power Up Network, creator of Superpower Design, and host of the influential podcast Disrupt Reality. Tonya created Superpower Experts after receiving what she calls very clear guidance that the universe needed her to play a part in mass consciousness. I am truly honored to have been drawn into her energy and her mission. I'm so happy to get to do this with you, Tonya.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Wendy. You know how excited I am about this show and just so about sharing it with our audience. So what a gift you're bringing to us.
Yeah, I feel the same way about being a part of this, about being a part of this mass mission. Right?
I was laughing when you said, that I got the clear guidance that the universe needed me to play a part. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how it felt. And then on one hand, I was like, God, does the universe need us to do anything? Anyway, it set me on this whole trajectory of well, let's feel into that. But I love I just love how big of a yes you are to all
when
of this.
I read that, I thought, wow, this is, I just was drawn to it. And I thought this woman is really tapped into her mission and what's needed and no holds barred, which is what drew me to you, right? Initially I appeared on a couple of other podcasts on the network, and one of your podcasters wanted me to talk to you about a potential show, which was not on my radar at the time at all.
Surprise!
But really, truly, Tonya, when I heard what you had to say about this network, I was blown away. I wanted in. And so I'm wondering if you'd be willing to kind of loop our listeners into your vision. Like, what is Superpower Experts and the Superpower Up Network all about?
Oh my goodness, what a great question. Yeah, huge kudos to Laura Greco over at Superpower Mamas who connected us. She knew what she was looking at, or, the first conversation she had with you. And that's what's so fun about this. You ask about our mission, and oftentimes I tell people it's the relentless pursuit of oneness, right? It's the only thing in my opinion that matters is making sure that we connect with the divine here. Otherwise, what are we doing? Is kind of, I don't have a whole lot of tolerance or patience for much else these days. But and part of it is because we're seeing the mission unfold, right? As you alluded to, there was some guidance provided in some really interesting ways. In fact, it's all covered in the book that talks about all of it, that isn't quite out yet, probably at the airing of this show, but it is forthcoming because it's a weird thing. It's we were, the backstory is Justin and I were counterintelligence agents, and I awakened during that time, and it was so bizarre to see the juxtaposition of this awareness of being something bigger than just a human being in that world, right? And so it was undeniable that there was something different being shown to me. It wasn't like I was working in a metaphysical shop and then God starts talking to me. That's kind of a natural kind of segue. You should expect that maybe in a metaphysical shop. But I didn't expect it where I was sitting and running around chasing spies. And so when that guidance came through, at first it just came through in a series of activations and this vision and that vision. I was thinking I'm crazy. And now the empathy's kicking in. I mean, it's all of the superpowers that we help people with just came on board in a really, really powerful way. And I didn't know what to do with it. I have a master's degree. I was a counterintel agent. I'm a pretty smart cookie, and I had no clue what to do. I was really out of my element. And I didn't have anyone really to go to. I had different types of people in different genres, different practitioners that thought they thought they had the answer, but what I ended up seeing was they had a piece of it, right? They had a piece of the answer and a piece of this and a piece of that. And it really was on me to put it all together. Well, that's the foundation behind all of this, that and the marriage that Justin and I share. We relentlessly pursue oneness together, and then the family unit of Justin and Neva and I, and we relentlessly pursue oneness together as whole entities. And so that builds the foundation for the collaborative business model that is really the secret behind the success of this network. And so, as you know, after just over 3 years, the network hit 1 million downloads monthly in 90 plus countries, which is really unheard of. And
Yeah,
so,
it's
so to say
holy
that it was
smokes unheard of.
just to say the divine had a hand in it, I think is an understatement. We do take credit for discipline and obedience, which, maybe it was because that was drilled into us literally in the military. Justin and I are both soldiers. I don't know, but it seems like it was the perfect storm. Which again would indicate the divine's hand in it, to bring all of these components together, and the brilliant and amazing hosts and coaches that we have. I mean, our whole coaching program is collaborative. So it's like, it makes zero sense in a traditional way. But in the abstract frequency, in that space with oneness, it not only makes sense, it again, it's the only thing in my opinion that matters. And so that's a little fluffy response for you, like kind of how it all came to be. Um, but I think it's important to speak to that. I could easily brush over it with the metrics and the successes and the model, the hybrid model. We've had a lot of people ask us to buy our systems and to create them for them. I mean, it's just bizarre what happens when you start to get that level of successful.
Okay. So everybody listening out there, can you see why I'm so excited about this? Right? And it gets better. It gets better. Tonya and I really started putting our heads together on how we could use a glimpse inside as like this truly transformative and even interactive experience for listeners. So it's a departure from the usual interview format of the Superpower Up Network shows. And we're really excited about what we came up with. Do you want to share it?
I'm like giddy to share it. And I want to do just a little bit of a plussing on that. One of the reason why this has come together like this is the exact same reason why the network's been successful, why the coaching programs are successful, is because we invite the divine to have presence, right? Somebody named it, when God is your CEO, or, however the verbiage works for you, we call it synergistic collaboration. And it means that when Wendy and I join together, via Zoom, a phone call, whatever mechanism we were using, in commitment to allowing the divine to move through us, magic happens, right? It's really the awareness that the energy between us creates. That's where this show came from. It was the great intersection between, your brilliance and experiences and wisdom, my brilliance and experiences and wisdom, and then the divine pathway of what this could be that allows these things to happen. And what came through, I mean, I don't even know that there's words to adequately describe it, but the format for this show is going to be so exciting to pay attention to. You're not going to want to miss an episode because it's sequential. And so the concept is, Wendy in her brilliance wanted a kind of a fishbowl concept to make sure that people could see what this work looks like in action. One of the hardest things for coaches and practitioners in these higher vibrational spaces is making sense of what they do for the consumer. And so it's easy to put it in a box, and it's like, this is coaching and this is this, but every single one of us feels like we do something just a little bit differently. Well, that creates problems marketing wise, right? And so everybody's trying to create the difference. And what Wendy said was like, well, let's just show them. Let's just be it. Let's be totally transparent about this process. And I loved the idea because it rips that veil of mystique off that says, it's like that like secret handshakes and cults and magical mystery schools or whatever they are, that it's like it's only behind closed doors. And as is the spirit of the whole superpower up concept is transparency, and like, let's just be real and be open about it. And so two of the shows, so the series will be a 4-part series, and two of the shows, the two in the middle, are going to be actual episodes where she's working with somebody and coaching them in a 2-week process. The first coaching episode happens and then the second one doesn't happen for 2 weeks. And so they're they're living it, they're in it with you, and you get to be a part of that journey. And then prior to that, the opener of the series is a really yummy dialogue with Wendy and another practitioner, a thought leader, a peer, somebody who is also entrenched in that kind of motif, if you will, whatever the series is looking at, that they get to interview and or not interview, introduce this idea, and flesh it out and why it matters to you and why perhaps you've struggled with it. Like if it's about relationships or transitions or whatever the concept might be, as long as it's in the transformative space. I know Wendy is more than adept to handle it. And then the final fourth episode of that series comes in as a wrap up with a thought leader in that industry that just kind of puts this cool bow on, like, what is this all about? How can you apply it to your life? Why it's important to you? What others are saying about it? And gives you an opportunity to take that information, integrate it into your own existence, and then see where it takes you, right? Like, this is all about you and all about your development. And so Wendy's put together this amazing, amazing process to walk you through. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, is you get to walk with her. Like this is unheard of, right? It's giving you an opportunity. Maybe you want to work with Wendy, and maybe right now you don't have the resources, either the time or the money. You get to walk with her through this, right? Or maybe you're interested, but you kind of want to get a feel for what it's all about. Well, this is going to give you that opportunity. Brilliant, brilliant model, and I'm super, super excited about this show.
Yeah, I am too. I am beyond words excited about this show, and really the opportunity not just to speak with and to coach the people that we have lined up for some of these amazing series, but to hear back from listeners who use the tools that we deliver in the series and reach back out to us, which is going to be something that we're going to ask in this series. Reach back out to us and tell us your story. Tell us how you interact with the world. Tell us where you get stuck. Tell us what your transformation looked like, or might look like as you move forward, right? Because all of that informs how not just how you evolve, but how we evolve together, right? The more we see each other, ourselves in others.
Well, I think it's so. Oh, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? We need to take a little quick break, and then we'll come back in a second and dive in a little more deeply. So Perfect. I've been talking here with Tonya Dawn Recla to introduce the Super Power Up Network's newest show, A Glimpse Inside, Moving People from Stuck to Happy. When we come back from this short break, we're going to hear what Tonya just wanted to say, and I stopped her from saying it. And we're also going to dive into one of our favorite topics, transformation, where we get stuck in the process and why. So, Tonya, if listeners want to learn more about you or the Super Power Up Network, where can they find it?
Awesome. Go to superpowerexperts.com and make sure that you go to aglimpseinside.superpowerexperts.com so you don't miss anything about this new exciting show.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Dawn Recla, Executive Director of Superpower Experts, and we want to thank each of you for making Superpower Up the #1 podcast network for personal development and spiritual growth. Because people like you have the courage to say that mindfulness, healthy living, disrupting reality, the pursuit of consciousness, responsible entrepreneurship, and radical parenting matter, we now amass over 1 million downloads monthly in more than 90 countries. Our numbers keep growing because there are far more people willing to live divergently than mass media wants to acknowledge. For you, the change makers, the light bearers, the way showers, we say thank you. If you're ready to take the next step in your evolution, go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz. And as Neva Lee Recla, our youngest podcaster, likes to remind us, remember, we all have superpowers and we can change the world.
So happy to have you back with us. Today you're listening to a special introductory episode of A Glimpse Inside, Moving People from Stuck to Happy. I'm here with Superpower Up Network Executive Director, Tonya Dawn Recla. And Tonya, just before the break, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
It kind of happens with us, right? Like, all the information.
We have a lot to say all at once.
So much. What I wanted to invite listeners to really feel into is how powerful what Wendy was saying is from a perhaps a different filter, a different way of receiving information. So as with everything in the Superpower Network, like you are absolutely able to listen and be and experience and absorb as much as you want. It's free. We give it to you, and you can be as anonymous as you want with it. And what Wendy's doing with this show is inviting you to perhaps not be just a spectator, right? Perhaps you are kind of fascinated with this transformation stuff, or you're knee deep in it, or whatever the case may be. But we hope that you feel the difference between us inviting you into a deeper conversation with us by maybe sharing your story, or just saying, yeah, I do want more information about the show. This makes me feel good. Like, I want to hear what Wendy has to say. But it's an invitation into a relationship with us, with her. And the reason why I felt important to mention that is that I know a lot of things out there aren't that, and they don't feel like that, and they don't feel like they kind of take you and what you want into account. And it just felt important to speak that into existence, because I think a lot of times we just assume that the people who are making those offers or speaking in that way know what they're doing. And if it makes you uncomfortable, it must be something you're doing wrong, or it must be something that you're fearful of. And so therefore you've got to tackle it and all these other things. And it's like, it's just not true. Like, your transformation can feel good. It can be like a warm hug. It can, not that you're not going to get friction or warmth, but you can certainly feel held and supported and respected and loved in the process. And that's a big part of what we aim to present, so you can tell the juxtaposition between that and getting a bunch of things shoved down your throat that you're not really sure that you need or want. And so really relax into that, and it's okay to say, it just doesn't feel good to me, right? And to walk away from things, even when people are telling you that you should do something, or you should want to do something, or you should want to take this course or that thing. Like, it's kind of my soapbox lately, is I just don't think that that's necessary. And we've proven that it can be done differently.
Yeah, for me, this platform, both in coaching and my hope for a glimpse inside, is that this is really um, a very unique space, right? It is a place where judgment doesn't exist. Now, of course, we all judge things as good or bad. It's how we navigate the world, but it's a place, this space, where we put that judgment aside and look at the world through different perspectives, through different lenses, where good and bad don't necessarily even exist, where it's all just the process of life moving forward. And when we can tap into that space, when we can tap into that trust in our own ability to be creative, vibrant beings, in our own ability to connect truly with one another, to really see the person that is across from you, no matter what they're going through, no matter what kind of hell their life might be in at the moment, right? Or how stressed out or crazed or angry or whatever they are, to see that person as whole and vibrant. That's the magic. And that's where we are capable of not only transforming our own lives when we live from that place, right? From that space of knowing our own sense of value, of worth, of mission, of purpose, of love, of connection. When we live from that space, our lives transform. All of those things that we work so hard to do and get done, they tend to just happen automatically, right? The grind of it goes away when we live from that space. Transformation becomes a symptom of it, and it's contagious, right? It ripples out, and so that's what coaching is about for me. That's what the mission is for me, and my hope, my goal, is that this show become a space like that for people to tap into, to whatever degree they want to play.
Hmm. Well, and as you're talking, Wendy, I'm so glad earlier it came forward about the whole like spectator concept because life is not a spectator sport, right? I mean, that sounds like a cheesy bumper sticker, but it's so important to recognize that what most people fail to see about business, right? And I'm going to add on not just fulfilling, but being in that space, choosing that space is highly profitable too. Like folks, there are like real world material reasons why seeking oneness and being your divinity here on earth and being happy and moving into that space actually makes a lot of sense
Mhm.
in a real concrete way. Because what most people don't understand is that all you can see in the projection is what you're emitting, right? Like you can't emit one frequency and expect that you're going to get back something different. It's never going to happen. And so as you listen to the show, like this is not a fishbowl in the sense that um the fish inside the bowl are the only ones impacted. Like the fish are impacted by the spectators are impacted by the fish. Like there's no boundaries, there's no separation. And so you may think that you're just listening to this show and it's already recorded and you have no impact on it. Fooey on you. You haven't been listening to enough of our shows because it alters how you receive it, what it means to you, the information you receive. And on top of it, like yes, the audio digital file itself may not change, although I'm not convinced it doesn't, but your perception of it changes. How you can hear it, what it brings up for you, what it moves through you, what you're able to do with it alters depending on which frequency you're choosing to listen to it from. And so if you listen to any of our shows and and let's say you're catching like the first series of A Glimpse Inside and you're like "Meh, meh, 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 this is silly, da, 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 da. Oh, that person sucks, look what they're going through," and they're like, phew, at least that's not me, right? Because we do that to make ourselves feel better, right? If you approach it from that place, you're not going to get a lot out of the show, folks. You're just not. I mean, we'll take your listen and we'll take your download credit, we appreciate it, but it's not going to help you at all, right? Because basically you're doing this like stiff arm of anything that might get into any sort of your gushy, vulnerable underbelly of emotions, right? Well, if you go at it from the approach that Wendy's talking about and go, okay, I don't know what this is all about, or I don't know what's going to happen here, or I'm not even really sure why I'm doing this. I just feel drawn into it and it feels good. Listen with your heart open. Say a little prayer, ask a little blessing ahead of time, whatever it is that you do when you commune with the divine. And if you don't already, then start and just say, okay, universe, like if that works for your higher self, if that works for you, open my eyes to something different, open my ears to hear differently, allow me to receive what it is that I can use in this moment and be receptive to it, right? And then recognize that your receptivity then acts as a broadcast, acts as a pulse, if you will, that then says, okay, this person is open to receiving information at this level now, and perhaps it's a level that you haven't entertained before, right? It really is a simple process when you break it down, but a whole lot of personal responsibility there, folks. If you will get out of this exactly what you bring into it. And I highly, highly recommend that you bring receptivity and openness. And some of these topics may create friction for you, right? They're designed, that's transformation, right? We're helping people because there is friction that exists there, right? That's what Wendy's walking people through. And it's okay if it brings some of that up for you. Some of you have some pretty extensive superpowers and you're going to feel the person who went through it, right? You're going to feel that, or you're going to feel from the collective what transmuting this might look like. And that's okay too, right? There's ways to assist you with how to navigate those spaces also. So really heed what Wendy's talking about. And I invite you to accept her invitation of just stepping into it and opening up a little bit to like the what ifs. It's play, right? For me and my transformation was like, am I really, really going to play? Can I do that? Right. And when I made that leap of faith, everything changed. So transformation is possible in a very real, material, profitable relationship, success, all those things that we think we care so much about, they really do transform.
It all happens. It all comes from that, and it all comes from that golden nugget that you were just talking about, Tonya, of openness, perspective, and receptivity, right? Because people get stuck. We try to change and we change back, and we try different processes and they don't work. And we try to do one thing and we think that we are getting someplace, and then all of a sudden there's this enormous backslide. And so the tactics, when applied from the same perspective, when you see yourself the same way you have always seen yourself, and when you see the world the same way you have always seen the world, you can apply whatever tactics you want, and they will, at best, work for a short period of time before they move right back to where they were. As you start to see yourself in a new way, as you start to see the world in a new way, all of a sudden, those same tactics have very different results. That's that's the essence of Unstuck, right? That's the magic right there. It's as simple as that. It's not about doing. It's about seeing. It's about being, right? And quite frankly, I think it's partially about allowing for that to be real and for that to be possible. Somehow down the line, somebody sold us this rotten bill of goods that said, smart people, really smart people, can never be happy. Right? It's not possible to be happy because guess what? Reality is that things suck, right? That's the reality. Yep. And if you're not looking at reality in the face, boy, you're just kidding yourself, and you're not as smart as me.
You're naive. You're a fool.
Naive,
yep.
Right?
Yep.
Somewhere somebody sold us that. And so some of the best minds, some of the smartest people, the people with all of this incredible potential, are holding it back because they're not allowing for the possibility that transformation is real, that happiness, that connection on that incredibly profoundly intimate level, right, is possible with and for every single human on this planet. Right. And that's what this is about for me. And I know that's what this is about for you, which is why I get so excited about getting all tangled up with you.
I love it. Well, and I so appreciate that you named that. Like, that really came out of it. And I'll tell you, we saw some of that, just with the corporate counterintelligence firm that Justin and I created, and the due diligence and the vetting and the looking behind the veil and seeing how a lot of these people who claim to be very, very successful really aren't. And it was kind of like taxi cab confessions, right? Everybody likes to tell us their deepest, darkest secrets, right? And so we knew what wasn't working and all that stuff. But it wasn't until I started the show, and it did start with just a single show. It was mine. Back in 2016, is like crazy to think about. January 2016, the first episode aired. And what I found was I had a lot of amazing thought leaders and practitioners and folks on the show. And then after the recording shut off was when they would confess to me how scared they were, or what wasn't working anymore, and it was always the same, like money's drying up, business isn't working like it used to, relationships are getting challenged. And it was part of it. I would dare say all of it was because of exactly what you just named, which I fell victim to too, right? Because it was almost like hope, faith, and belief became, a privilege of the ignorant, right? The rest of us knew too much. It's like when you know too much to be happy, right? It's like try being a counter intel agent signed on to top secret SCI material, and you're like, no, the world sucks. Like, I've got proof, and so it was really challenging in that space, and that's why this kind of leap of faith is so incredibly crucial to say, okay, I get it. Like, we're not naive, we're not ignorant. Like, we know that things are going on in the world, but instead of looking at that and, like, when he was talking about judging that as good or bad, we ask why, right? Why is it good? Like, my favorite example of that is Trump, right? It's like everybody wants change, and then people get upset when Trump comes into office. Like, you want to change, like, you can't get upset when it looks like what you don't, in a way that you didn't expect or a way you didn't want it to look. But instead of saying he's great, he's not great, he's the devil, he's not the devil, like, who cares? Like, why does he exist? Like, why is he here? Like, what is it that it serves for us? And is there a way that we can perhaps use that to learn the things that need to be learned, move through the collective what needs to be moved, so that perhaps we have a different version the next time. I don't know, I'm not going to get into politics, but instead of going to that judgment place, open that up a little bit, be a little bit more in inquiry about, okay, obviously it exists. Why? What's happening here? What are we being shown?
Mhm.
But the piece that you spoke to about highly educated, highly successful people, highly wealthy people. I mean, it is nuts. No one's exempt from this, folks. There will be a reckoning for everybody. And if you are still putting something from the material existence ahead of your own wholeness, it'll get challenged. And what Wendy does is not just talk about it, not just demonstrate it, but the tips, right? Like, you have to have a practice. Like, every single one of you got successful in something because you applied some sort of process or practice or learned something or trained in something. To think that this is going to be any different is just silly. So to move yourself out of behaviors that were based in programs that no longer serve you and perhaps never did, it stands to reason that you're going to have to do a new process, right? And the way we describe it is it's upgrading your operating system. And everybody, every practitioner, every modality, everybody who does this work uses a different software, which is fine. We have our software. Wendy has her software. Like, there's just all these pieces. We have a lot of the same software, which is so much fun. And we get to do lots of fun projects together. And then, so there's all of those components kind of mixing together. But ultimately, if you're not working on upgrading your operating system, then all you can do is shop software to software to software to software to software. And that's, you all know who you are, the workshop seminar folks, who go from one to the other because you get that initial high when it works. But then if the operating system isn't upgraded, it can only take you so far. Right. And so that's really what this show stands to do, is go, yeah, let's actually, though, get in there and take a look at, like, we can talk all day long about these lovely theories and stuff, and that's important too. She mentioned seeing and being, right? I love that you called that out, Wendy. Like, seeing first, like everybody always focus on being and doing and being and doing. Then dawn on me, like, that's the argument, though, right? A lot of people can't see it. Well, folks, she's giving you the opportunity to see it, so you have no excuse for not being it, right? Like, no excuse. Like, not only are you going to get to watch it and listen it and just be a part of it through the show, you're going to be able to engage with Wendy in deeper ways and to get those tips and apply them to your existence. And then you're gonna be able to share with her how they're working for you. So really, really allow this show to draw you in and become a component of it, right? Get in there, allow your energy to come in and inform it, and watch what happens. It's magic, I swear. As you allow your energy to come in and you play full on in this show, it starts to inform what's possible for the show. So now all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, it's like she's talking to me. And oh, she must have chosen this series because of me. And it's not because you sent her an email and said, hey, I think you should do this series, although you'll be able to do that too. it, it's just how it works. Your energy starts to infuse, and then you get out of it as much as you're giving to it. That really is the secret to how all of this functions.
Yeah, the idea that the non-coaching episodes of each series, the ones that are conversations, um, the idea that they are conversations more than an interview, that concept for me was so important because my experience is identical to yours, Tonya, in that people, when you're having the conversation with them, right? You're meeting them, you're having a conversation, you're interviewing them, we're on our best behavior. We're
Hmm.
behaving through this lens of what's expected. And
Right.
and that's the thing, quite frankly, that isn't real. Because underneath that, we're all the same. We are all the
Mm.
same. We all suffer the same fears and hopes and dreams. No matter who you are and where you come from, we ultimately come from that same place. And so the goal for those conversations is to not just have thought leaders share their expertise in these specific topics. And of course, we want that expertise, and we're going to ask that of them when they're sitting in that chair on this show, but to also share their story. who they are and how this topic, whichever topic they're talking about, really has integrated in their lives. Because that's what makes it real, people, right? That's what makes it relatable. And that's what leads to the kind of learning that we can all take and make our own.
Beautiful. And as you, I did it again. Sorry. As you're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to issue a challenge. And I'm like, wait, Wendy would never issue a challenge. I'm like, that's okay. I can issue a challenge, and then he'll soften it, make it an invitation. You're far more gentle than I am. But I challenge your audience to, with everybody that comes on the show, whether it's one of the conversations you're having, whether it's one of the coaching episodes, I challenge you to first and foremost, see the divine, the highest aspect in everybody, right? Find it. Go looking for it. I don't care if their voice irritates you, if the topic irritates you, if you're just having a bad day. That's the challenge, right? In that moment, in Wendy and whoever she's speaking with, see the divine, feel it, name it, right? What is it? What is even if it's just like, well, that was a really nice word they just used, right? Even if that's the best you can do in that moment, then do that. Go looking for that. And secondly, find something to connect with them about. Either they're a mom and you're a mom, or they lived in Ohio and you live in Ohio. I don't whatever it is, right? Find some connection piece. So first find the divine, then find some connection. If you do that with every single show that she does, every single episode, you're going to start to develop this amazing framework for how to engage in your existence in a different way. And I just think this show has so much potential, and there's so much that comes out of it, and just Wendy's brilliance really shines through. But in that connection space, which she's so great at, use it, folks. Use it as a playground, and I guarantee you're going to get so much more out of it than anybody would dream possible for a podcast.
And the tools and strategies, like really, truly tangible on the spot tools and strategies that we'll be offering you also will work so much better, will actually take root so much more quickly for you when you're seeing the world through that lens that Tonya just described. So even the strategies that we offer are better when you connect fully in that way, when you're playing all in, right? For yourself and for other people.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I just went to like all these other universes while you were talking. And then this, and then this, and then this. And it's like, it always happens when I connect in with you, and I know it's happening for some of you. And if it's not, it's okay. Just open your heart. Open your heart. And by the time this is all said and done, after you get a couple episodes in, if you can't feel Wendy, then I'm going to really encourage you to sit with yourself and breathe into your body and open your heart, and reach out to her, find some techniques, because it's present and it's available, and it's this loving, warm embrace, if you let it, and it will help guide you in the way that is smart for your next steps in your journey. And it has its magic. Like I keep saying, there's no other way to describe it, but it will be exactly what you need it to be.
Thank you, Tonya. I am truly grateful to get to move into these uncharted waters with you.
Well, over the moon. So excited. We're excited to have you. We're very, very excited to introduce you and this amazing show to our guests and all of our audience across the world. We know you're out there, and we so appreciate you. And because of that, we are extremely pleased and honored to provide you even more amazing content and a way to connect in with Wendy and her brilliance. And we just really invite you to relax into it and receive what she's giving to you, because it truly is a gift.
And do you want to remind people who want to learn more about you and the network where they can find it?
Absolutely. Superpowerexperts.com, and make sure you go to aglimpseinside.superpowerexperts.com to keep up with this show. And as it continues to unfold in its brilliance, and I don't think you're going to want to miss any of this, folks. So make sure you bookmark that. But you're always welcome to visit us and reach out to us. And we're excited to know how we can contribute to you.
And thanks to all of you for listening to the introductory episode of A Glimpse Inside. Don't miss the show's first 4-part series. It's going to be on reinvention after 40. In part 1, we'll be chatting with Jennifer Dagenhart about how she completely transformed her life after an unanticipated career change really shook things up for her. In parts 2 and 3, you'll get to glimpse inside an actual coaching session. I'll be working with Liz, who's learning to thrive again after a tragic accident and unrelated illness really turned her life inside out. And she's coming back and really moving forward and thriving. You'll get a piece of her journey. And then in part 4, you're going to get to meet the woman who is somewhat responsible, I think, for the reinvention after 40 phenomenon that we're all experiencing. Former editor-in-chief of More Magazine and Covey Club founder Leslie Jane Seymour will be here. Hope you'll join us. Until then, big love.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the superpower quiz today.